Pro Expert HTML 3.2 to 5, CSS 1 to 3, SCSS, Sass, JavaScript ES5 to ES9, JavaScript frameworks, React, Angular, Vue.js, Git, Subversion, jQuery, PHP, PHP 7, Salesforce, Litmus, MailChimp, email frameworks, triggers, TypeScript, jaw dropping, responsive web design, SEO, the more the better, juggle multiple projects, e-commerce, email marketing, agency experience, experience in marketing, RESTful APIs, able to stay cool as a cucumber even when deadlines are looming, MERN, Node.js, Agile, cloud hosting, responsible design, Google Analytics, Tag Manager, WordPress, MySQL, FTP, mastery of JavaScript, Photoshop, Adobe XD, InVision, Figma, Sketch, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, retail, sales, design, development, deployment, testing, ASP.NET, SDLC processes, CI/CD Azure pipelines, C++, Java, Python, algorithms, data, system architecture, Unix, Linux, object-oriented design, object-oriented programming, C Sharp, communicate with clients, Redux, Bootstrap, SEM, CMS, APIs, WebSocket, W3C standards.
Hola amigos, this is an update following my video where I was telling the story of how I was laid off from my first developer job after a year and a half into this position while I was working remotely from abroad and while I couldn't go back to Canada where I am based at the moment since the borders are closed. So one day I found myself stuck here in a foreign country, jobless, with no income. From what I hear, some people are still able to fly back, although there are long transiting flights, but despite having to test for COVID before departure, you need to test again. Upon landing, pay for your quarantine in a hotel or motel while you wait for your results. You wonder who benefits from all this, so I thought, you know what? Fuck that shit. Life right now is like a delayed flight anyway, but at some point it's time to go back and pick up the mail, you know? By the way, haters that pour their frustration by moralizing, policing, and basically calling people that left Quebec during the pandemic criminals, please go on your way, thank you. So far, nobody around me got the flu. I have a cold right now from all the stress these past weeks. You lost your job? Well, me too. Except that I worked hard to the point where I had ocular fatigue and headache and did not even have to get any financial help. Nobody else except myself deals with the hardships of my life and nobody will take away the perks for me either. Chacun sa merde. I left an ultra-individualistic society. Then I heard some folks stuck at home during winter complaining about how others are being selfish because they want to enjoy their life somewhere else. This is me calling the shots in my life. I'm not here to justify my decisions, but that is the dark side of the web, right? Them kids being bullied 24/7 instead of just 6 hours a day when they're at school. You cannot step in a website without being tracked. Anyway, so I am still in Mexico and well, I found another job. About a month after I was let go, I was offered a first position that I declined, but I'll get back to that. About 2 weeks later, I got another one that I took on. I made some mistakes along the way that I will tell you about. It's been one hell of a ride and I was submitted to all kind of bullshit. My job search was done entirely remotely, which would have been the case if I was still in Canada anyway, but still could not get unemployment if not in the country. After a bunch of interviews and all kind of coding assignments and tests for different companies these past weeks, I lost count. I applied, reached out to my network and recruiters, sent around 100 resumes, which is not much actually. I updated a broken API on my portfolio, fixed some details, fixed my CV, updated a broken link on my LinkedIn profile. Now I will be working on the front end for an international organization which is at the other end from the small and new startup I was at before, but I will be the only local developer. I've always been on my own, so I better get used to it. But because of that, I will negotiate working fully remote past COVID. Plus, it's a contract, which is fine too. I don't want to be permanently attached to a company. I will look out for myself first anyway, so I won't find myself caught short again. Most jobs I interviewed for planned to return in office after that. The only legit excuse would be teamwork is easier because some people get lazy or impatient with chat apps when working remotely. It's not for everyone. But in my case, what will I go to the office for? To hang out with accountants? The marketing girls? No, thank you. They wouldn't even understand the job that I do. So we got there. I can't step foot in an office again. I'd be miserable. Remote work is not for everybody, and that's fine. But that's what I need. I don't want to see anyone if I don't have to, don't want to pretend no more. The more it goes, the less I want to deal with people. That's why I chose to work with computers. I don't show my personality to people I don't trust, even less during interviews. Even during those fake happy hours, nobody held my hand through all the shit I've been through in my life, so I don't care if some other people are not productive working at home. I've paid my dues, not my problem. And a rule in my life is always all or nothing. Right when I was confirmed for this contract, I also got a confirmation from an ex-colleague to work part-time on a project. By the way, he quit that job I was fired from after 2 weeks, but we kept in touch. Now that we got that out of the way, because you can be creative when under stress, in the longer run I will build products that will generate me a passive income, because again the goal here is to be independent, right? Not letting anyone except myself decide of my life, to get into a position where I don't need a job to live. All the while I will keep on developing my skills. That's the game. Companies, they don't give you $100 to get 100 back, you know? They hire you to make profits with your skills, so why won't you make money with your own damn skills too? Your skills belong to you. You do whatever you want with them, legal or illegal, then you deal with the consequences, right? You lease your time and services, that's all. You get other skills that you need in return for your own benefit. So I will keep that in mind from now on, because I don't want to be worried again about what if my boss fires me? What if I say no to this? What if I ask for that, say this? And the side income that you make is no one's business. You don't know how management secures contracts. You don't get to monitor their work, what they pay themselves out of the fundings they get. You totally depend on them. One of the interviews that I've had was for a web agency based in Montreal for a web integrator position. So lots of agencies looking to hire right now. Sometimes it has to do with turnover. Sometimes the funding of some projects were on hold last year because of COVID, and this year they decided to go ahead with it and need staff. From now on, I will ask on interviews if it's a new position and if it's to replace someone else, try to figure out how long they've been there. Whether asking directly, but you need to be diplomatic because that might throw them off, or search on LinkedIn. Agencies are a good place for juniors, but generally they always try to pay you as little as possible. In my case, it is a contract. I'm temporarily replacing someone who's on secondment. Hopefully I'll get other mandates with them. So back to this web integrator position. I had a coding assignment as usual about GitHub, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and SQL, which I barely used, but you'll always be tested on technologies you don't know. Like I had to build some feature with Angular at some point for this position in a cybersecurity firm I was first hired for, the one I declined. Again, I'll get back to that. I never used Angular, so this other job at the agency would ask about my salary expectations. They offer below what I have responded, which was $30 an hour, Canadian dollars. The HR lady gave me round eyes because $20 to $25 is the range for the front end. I was paid $22 for my entry-level job, which was pretty decent then. I had zero experience basically. I never earned more anyway, but after like a year and a half of professional experience, I was expecting a couple of dollars more. I might still be a junior, but I still gained some skills. I can build stuff. I was already looking for more. My ex-employer only beat me to the punch. Anyway, then I asked around and I thought $30 was maybe a bit too much. So I turned around saying I was open to discuss it. I got an interview later on for this cybersecurity firm when I said around $25 as my expected salary. I got round eyes again and the HR lady responded, "Are you sure? That makes me scared." So I told her openly that I've asked for an hourly rate of $30 in the past and it was too much apparently. So it's tricky, and since I don't have experience in cybersecurity, to which she responded that they value equity and have salary grids, so if a junior asks for less than that, they still pay within that range, and all their staff had training on cybersecurity. I thought, that's what you want to hear from a company. I could see that I've done bullshit jobs prior, and when you've been fired, it's hard not to let that influence your worth, especially at a junior level with no CS degree. Sometimes I get fierce, and sometimes unconsciously I feel like I'm asking for a chance. All is energy. In my mind, I need to fake it until I make it, pretend to be confident until I really am. This whole process is like an act. I mean, imposter syndrome is real, even more when facing those type of coding tests. I passed some and failed some others, and it's a blow on your confidence, even if it's part of the process, I guess. Here I am, banging my head sometimes. It's all in your head, it's all in your head. Then I remember what one of my first mentors told me once. Confidence comes with experience. That was mind-blowing for me, coming from the media and film industries filled with bullshitting egos, right? But anyway, top dollar positions like these come with top-notch candidates. I was not skilled enough for this position in cybersecurity, but turns out it was the first position I was offered. How ironic that out of all the jobs I applied for, I first got hired for the one I was the least skilled at. A friend referred me for this and I was missing the job description. When I got the interview with the HR lady, I saw the required skills: 3 to 5 years of experience, expert knowledge in Angular, whereas I've been working a year and a half with React. I knew I didn't have the necessary skills, but by then I thought, might as well go with it. It won't kill me if I embarrass myself on the interview. And indeed, I had a good conversation with the manager, who roasted me with technical and theoretical questions. I just wanted it to end. Like I expected, I was not up to the level he was looking for, but decided to test me with a little assignment for a documentation writer position, since I have experience in technical writing and they needed to program that. And I'd gradually do more development. And I wanted to go all the way because the clock is ticking. My sub-renters are leaving my apartment soon and I would have to pay my Montreal rent again. So I tried to complete this assignment in a framework that I never used, just to see what I could do. But Angular is a learning curve for someone who's worked with vanilla JS and React on UX. So I just showed what I was able to do with limited time, of course, considering that I was having interviews and tests every day, sometimes 2 in a day, and I focused less on this one. In my mind, I had no chance, but it was still a good practice. The guy who said that women can multitask is full of shit. Our brain can't focus on multiple tasks at once. If I want to learn Angular, that's all I will be doing for a little while, not when hopping on interviews and assignments, which already test my ongoing skills. I can't learn Angular in a couple of hours. I don't care what influencers, YouTubers, teachers, gurus, or evangelists, or whatever they call themselves say out there. They just want to sell courses or get clout. Learning a new technical skill takes time. Perseverance is what you need. At the end of the day, only you can make you learn anything. So I guess the manager believed in me and gave chances to other people before. He was very clear what he expected from me, that at the end of my probation period, it should be day and night. I will be documenting their product on their platform and need to be ready with Angular by then. I will need to go and impress him. I have a lot to learn, including Angular. That will be intense, that I better get my shit together. Well, he did not say this in those terms, but that's what it came down to, and not disappoint him. Otherwise, they'll have to let me go. He recommended the Code Complete Book 2nd edition, 1,000 pages break. The stakes are high. Then I couldn't start right away. They gave me an extension of a month to go back to Canada and start, because they had to ship me their PC with their VPN installed and they couldn't ship it to Mexico. So back to square one. Besides, I stopped and asked myself, what do I need at this point in my life? Bust my ass during those 3 months to step it up, which I did on my first job. The lack of knowledge I compensated with time. I was going to coding meetups to get the help doing my job back then when I didn't know anything. That manager is demanding. He was also fair and honest, which I respect, but no one is as demanding as I am towards myself. I was beating myself for questions I did not respond properly on interviews. That's the way I was brought up. I was never perfect enough. Each mistake cost me. You won a fucking Nobel Prize in literature? In chemistry would have been better. I know that if I was given this opportunity, I would have wanted to prove what I'm worth. Especially surrounded by a bunch of computer cracks. Being the only woman, the backend is still male dominated. Imagine in cybersecurity. But that, I don't get intimidated by a bunch of geeks. I say that I am one too, I guess, but I have other passions. The difference from my previous job, though, this manager was going to be my mentor and he would support me. But am I willing to take the pressure? Hey, I took a lot of challenges in my life, but sometimes you need to choose your battles. Learn to manage your energy. Priorities switch. I don't need notoriety. Otherwise, you burn yourself and you don't want to get there. Trust me. Also, I promised myself not to work so hard for others anymore. The other thing, the commute is terrible. It's in the suburbs. After COVID, I would have to drive 2 hours a day, back and forth every day. That's 10 hours per week, in addition to having to prepare your lunch, because this is an industrial area, getting ready every day, shovel snow, traffic. Imagine all you can do in this time. All I would have done with my life is work, going to work, prepare for work, study for work. At this point, that's not the lifestyle for me. I am willing to trade money for more time and freedom, especially having worked fully remote for the past year. I just couldn't. For an entry-level position, I was willing to be in office, but even on my previous job, where my boss wanted us to be in office for at least 2 days a week, because otherwise you don't see people's reactions, as if I needed to see people's faces to code. At least the office was a 15 minutes walk, which was nice. So this time around, it was far-stretched. The commute, the learning curve, rushing back to start, too much sacrifice. It's not like I live in a city with limited opportunities anyway. From there, I positioned my salary in Quebec between $25 to $30 an hour, depending on the company. More for companies based in Ontario or BC. and my hourly rate for freelance contracts is $3 for now because you have more expenses there. Quebec salaries are cheap, but other Canadians might say, well, the cost of living is cheaper in Quebec than in other provinces. You see, here's the reality. The rent for my Montreal apartment was about to jump by $30 a month for the next lease year. I negotiated that too with my landlord, but just down to $25. Hey, we're all hustling here. The reason being renovations done last year on the building facade that was damaged because of massive construction work nearby. The city is building a huge bus station with dynamite and all, and my walls were shaking with explosions every day for months. At first, that was making me anxious. Montreal is a construction site. We pay here and there to finance construction, reconstruction, damage repair, construction. I see the same roads being rebuilt every single year. I've had friends whose lives turned into a mess because of constructions. They could not walk down on the sidewalk out of their apartment, parked cars on the streets, they got tickets, could not even attach a bike, the mail was not delivered, not to mention the noise. Maybe my side hustle should be selling orange cones. Anyway, I digress. What I mean is, Montreal overall used to be affordable compared to other Canadian cities, but not anymore. The cost of living is even more expensive now amid COVID, like food, I've noticed it, not to mention the usual yearly raise for heating, electricity. Winter is pricey. Transportation. What to do? Beg your boss for a raise, hoping to get a few extra peanuts. We know that in order to get a raise aligned with your current set of skills, you need to switch jobs. The way I saw it, if I don't increase my income now, I will end up poor. That's it. Everything I do is to get a better life for myself. And coming to this is a process, especially with my background. Most people have been programmed to be poor, to be submissive, to be workers, to work for others. In reality, you can get fired at any given moment. I don't want my destiny in other people's hands. By the way, all the ladies out there, we all have a responsibility to close the salary gap. Don't expect it to be given to you. One of the reasons being is that women negotiate less their salaries, not negotiate at all or negotiate badly. I've been guilty of that myself and learned the hard way. Once you're hired at a certain rate and you've signed that contract, it's too late. Women tend to feel like indebted that they've been offered a job. There's a reason why female-dominated professions are way less paid. We've seen it in industries like web design. Once women join the workforce, that decreased the market. If you don't negotiate, you'll be losing a shitload of money. I'll link some resources down below because I never found a coach to brief me with that. Just like women tend to not apply if you don't check all the requirements for a job posting. Those requirements are a wish list. The developers that I know never checked 100% of requirements of any of their jobs. I also heard that if you check all requirements of a job posting, maybe you should apply for your superior's position. So apply whether it says junior, mid-level, or senior. You never know what goes behind the scene because 80% of the positions available are not posted. I found my previous job through networking. So back to this agency I was first talking about, the web integrator position. The HR lady also said that their back-end dudes are paid more than the front-end folks. I didn't know that was a reality. I've never done much back-end work yet. I was focusing on my JavaScript foundations. I can't compare the level of complexity. It's true that there's way more front-end developers coming into the market now with all these bootcamps, but there's also a high demand for that, I believe, for the languages of the web, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Some developers are better on the front end and others at the back end, but if back end developers are supposedly harder to find and better paid, well, I will be learning Laravel soon, that's what. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter if your back end is up, running and solid. If your website or app looks bad, no one will touch it. It's all about presentation and UX. Front end is faster than back end in terms of delivery time. I think that's the only difference, but front end developers have usually more work to do. There's always some feature or update or bug to fix, design changing every day, new framework to learn for every new job, whereas the back end is more steady, but once it's set up, it's done. So to me, the workload is equal either way. One thing for sure, most companies are looking for the best skills set at the lowest rate. That's the drill. You might have 10 years of experience, built extensive full stack apps, but then they still come up with an excuse like you don't have experience in e-commerce or something. So this agency, it was one of those frustrating generic time tests on Coding Game. When I finished, I was low. Give me a take-home project that I could complete on my own time to think straight, and then we can review the code. I have more fun on those assignments because I actually practice and learn. You can give me a deadline, but not where I have to rush like crazy. I see this, I don't even want to try because I know it's going to be a mess. I understand that HR need to filter through hundreds of CVs, but do they think that developers are robots or something? I've had sometimes 2 minutes, sometimes 30 seconds to code my answers, including with SQL. Of course, multiple choice questions too. We love those. I mean, you don't build an app with multiple choice answers. I needed to build a function that keeps track of player scores in a tennis match under 25 minutes, and this one I was not able to complete. I am struggling with tests like these. You see my resume, and it's obvious I never studied algorithms, and between working on your coding skills, your portfolio, applying, interviewing, I don't have time for that. I'm not here for you to power trip. I was thinking, and for what? A basic salary. When your lunch sandwich costs you 10 bucks, 22, 23, 24, even $25 an hour is basic. Some people, I see them coming, just prepare your lunch. That's not the point. Since I started my job search, a lot of those questions I got were advanced. Is it me that sucks, or the job landscape is fucked up? And this agency, I had another interview with the tech lead after this test, and after that, they ended up ghosting me. But I was still applying just for the sake of it, because if I go broke again, y'all gotta get out of my way. Y'all want disruptive, I'll get you disruptive. It was like when I decided to learn programming 2 years ago, I had no plan B. When you face a wall, you always find solutions. My unemployment ended right when I got my first job, so I kept going at it this time around with more interviews and tests until I was just tired of it, thinking I'll just wait it out until I get back home, get unemployment, get some rest, and be more selective, because this is a shit show. I remember I was sent an assignment in a LinkedIn message after applying for a front-end position, and I was cool with that, but eventually I got turned down, all done in messaging. Then I thought, bitch, watch me. I don't want to go in here with the attitude of, I'm so grateful I've been offered this opportunity. You should be grateful because you're going to make serious money with me. You reject me, but what's insidious is that employers always ask for so much requirements you feel unskilled. Always. Don't fall in that trap. I was in a difficult situation, I had no choice, and went as far as I possibly could. I went on at it until I signed that contract. I had live coding tests like the ones I was talking about on my previous video, the worst. I was not allowed to use any resource or run the code. It's either that or you don't have time anyway. I did use my phone, and to me it's not cheating, it's being smart, it's common sense, because I don't need no one watching me, time me when I work. How would you feel if your boss was watching everything that you do behind your shoulder or monitor your screen? They have bad reviews on Glassdoor anyway. I was telling everyone what they wanted to hear and want to do my own thing. Which brings me, by the way, read carefully job descriptions, be cautious of those job postings with front end on the title and full stack requirements as requirements, not assets. If you're front end, you still need to have an understanding of the back end and vice versa, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it seems like the front end is associated with the creative aspect of the profession, like web design, which is devalued. Everything that has to do with arts and literature, as a matter of fact. I know I have a master's degree in communication. People who know nothing about what we do will post job offers like front-end developer / web designer, as if it's the same job. Just hire a tech guy that will do all that stuff. Nobody knows it all. But remember, so many people need these skills. Any entrepreneur or business, small or big, or freelancer need a website for starters. I remember when I was trying to find translating contracts back when I decided to work remote, and I was looking for a way to transfer the skills that I had. That ended up being a dead end, so I decided to get into programming shortly after that. I built a website on Wix. I am in no way promoting them, by the way. I actually won't use it again. And for someone who doesn't understand technology, that's difficult, even with a CMS. So for example, I went to surf with this group, this surf school here in town, and we were chit-chatting. Since I am staying here, the surf instructors figured I work online. He asked me what I do. Turns out later on, they asked me if I could build a website. In exchange, I get coaching. So that kind of lift me up during that turbulent time, just to know that I could be useful and help a local who needs it. But that didn't last long. The next day I had another coding test. I had to build a subscription form with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to handle the errors. Smooth, right? But in an hour, because they need to add a dose of sadism, right? People are assholes. I was sent the instructions and had to submit my project an hour later to the minute. By the time I read the PDF document they sent me, 5-10 minutes passed. Yeah, a PDF, not even a design mock-up with the CSS properties like on Figma. I was not given any hint beforehand. I set up my folder, my HTML, the imports, and started with CSS, and I was already halfway through, and I thought, fuck JavaScript, I can only focus on CSS. And still, I did not have time to debug. Sometimes you are one property away for your page to go from looking amateur to professional, you know? Then I had to send a zipped file, but you cannot send JS files with Gmail, you know, to prevent viruses. I had an empty JS file, but I thought at least they could see my project tree, so I had to send it with WeTransfer. A hot mess, un desmadre caliente. Then I was mad. Is there developers out there that can do this in an hour? Of course. Those that can write this code on top of their head don't need to check no example, open no tab, no Google, no Stack Overflow. They just spit it out. We're talking about years and years of writing the same code to get there. We're talking seniors. Those ones don't apply for web integrators or junior positions. Even if I know better now which way to go, I am still at the level where I play with CSS on the console until I get the desired look. I still look up code on the internet. I was frustrated because I know I can do this, but what I sent looked like shit and is no reflection of what I can do. I was like, to hell with these stupid tests and unrealistic expectations with cheap-ass salaries. Do they think we pull out code out of our arse? If they think that's what we do, good luck finding your genius Speedy Gonzalez engineer for $25 an hour maximum. Them companies competing for the hottest talents, pulling out the whiteboard like big techs with their algorithm tests, but without the Google Pay, you know. They make you come to the office yet offer you no benefits, but that's okay, just give me the money. Keep them your coding monkeys. If we're in the matrix here, then I am the fucking glitch. I was fed up, so I didn't get the job. Funny how I got a job in Angular when I have no project on my portfolio built with Angular and still got rejected or ghosted for all the web integrator positions using HTML, CSS, and vanilla JS I applied for. But I guess less the skills, more the competition. The yeses that I got were from interviews I thought I blew, and the ones I thought I did good didn't work out. I won't go through a test sprint again. I think I would ask ahead what type of test I will have to do. I will only do take-home assignments because while I'm doing this work for free, I might actually practice and learn. I don't want to partake in any freak show test, but I won't be caught off guard again, let me tell you. When you are jobless, even worse. Broke, you will always be at negotiating disadvantage. At this point, I needed a job. But from now on, I will interview companies too because I will have an exit plan. I will work to make more, not to pay my bills. One last advice I would give is to ask for a compensation beforehand if you think that the coding assignments will take more than 4 hours to complete and no more than a 3 steps process for me. But the thing is, for example, on another test, I had to build an app using React.js, TypeScript, build a dynamic grid. The manager said that they evaluate this to take 2 to 4 hours. 2 to 4 hours for who? They see my CV, they know my level of experience. There was layers of complexity that it was impossible for me to finish in this time frame. So obviously it took me a lot of time. That's also a trap. I got shit to do. Respect your time. Another lesson I learned the hard way, don't expect people to respect you by default. That's the way it is. Sometimes you need to impose respect, otherwise you're a doormat. Also, if you've been fired, pretend you still work there, because sometimes it's not your fault, but that scares them off. Either way, we all know that. So you either play the game or get played. Anyway, that's all for now. I hope that my experience might bring up some tips and hope to you guys. It's been rough at times. You rush through interviews and tests and then hear nothing back, no update. That sucks, especially those of you in the same situation right now. If you lost your job, looking for a job, learning the job, remember to be self-indulgent in your learning curve, all right? Shout out to me if you have any questions. In the meantime, take care, drop some love or hate, almost the same. Beijo e abraço.